This is a demonstration of the recently released vMix 19 beta with vMix Call. Hi, I'm Tom Sinclair of Eastern Shore Broadcasting and host of Streaming Idiots. Wanted to show you a little bit about this new super powerful feature in vMix. So let's get started. First, I want to add a camera because I'm going to be the host today. So we need to know what the host looks like. So here I am. Thank you very much. And in vMix, we're going to go bottom left-hand corner, add an input. There's a new input in our string of inputs here called video call at the bottom left corner. So let's select that. And then we can see that we have two options for call. We can host a call or we can connect to a call. Connect to a call allows us to have a vMix to vMix connection for a call. And host a call means that the guest is going to call in using the Chrome or Firefox browser on their PC or laptop, or their Chrome or Firefox browser on their Android device. If they do that, they will go to vmixcall.com, a window that looks like this, where they can enter their name and their password and click Join Call. And we'll do that in just a second. But you can see here's the password. We can copy it, and that'll copy it to the clipboard. And it's a great idea to share that with your guest in a way that they don't have to retype it. They can simply cut and paste it. Makes it easier for them to be successful the first time. The other things on this page are the return to the guest, the return feed to the guest. In this case, the video source will be output. That's going to be whatever's in the top right-hand corner output window in vMix. The other option is external to, and external to is sort of a Swiss Army knife output, which means it can be set to almost anything in vMix can be output via external to. And then the other one is none. I guess if you wanted a audio only, you could do none. The video bandwidth, again, this is going back to the guest. We can select anything from high bandwidth of 720p 2000 kbps to a lesser bandwidth, what they're calling default, of 720p 1200, medium of 720p 800, low of 360p 500, and for mobile phones of 240p 300. Keep in mind this is the bandwidth going back to the guest. Then the audio source would be the vMix available audio sources of master, headphones, bus A, and bus B. And we would click OK to set up that input. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and rename that input, and this is going to be caller number 1. And you notice here on the left this yellow top input, of course, now is in preview. But it also has a corresponding input over here on the right side in the audio mixer section, which are the audio settings for caller number 1. So let's actually take a call. So we're going to bring in our browser window, and we're going to put in the caller's name, and we're going to put in the password that we just copied a second ago, and we're going to join this call. Now I have the Chrome browser set up already with my Logitech C920 camera, and let's make this a little bit bigger so that we can see more of it. There we go. And it's two me's, but this me is the guest and this me is the host. So we got that straight. The guest's own video here can be moved around as needed, or can be made larger or smaller depending on the guest's desires. They have a menu down here where they can end call. They can turn off their own video. They can turn off their own audio. They can go full screen. Or they can hide or restore the chat room. And let's just say a little note to the host. So Tom has written the host a little note at 3:13 p.m. and we'll hide that for just a second. In fact, why don't we just hide this whole window off to the side. Oh, before we do, I can set, you notice here in Chrome, this little camera icon up here at the end of the URL bar. It says this page is accessing your camera and microphone. And if I click this, it will drop down a menu that allows me to change my microphone and to change my camera. When I do that, I can click Done. Now, if I hadn't already set this up, I first of all would have gotten a permission window from Chrome asking me if it was okay to use my camera and my microphone. How polite is that? So in this case, I'm going to click Done. If I had made any changes to this, I would need to refresh my browser so that those changes would take effect. But let's just pull this out of the way for just a sec, and we'll come back over here to our caller. And let's take a peek here at the right-click menu for this input. We've got two sections here. One is the Open Call Manager, which we'll get to in just a second. And the other is another opportunity to adjust the bandwidth going back to the guest as needed. So if we're in a restricted bandwidth situation and it wasn't that critical that the guest saw huge details, we could send it back to 360. And you can tell as I bring this in now that the video that the guest sees is not quite as clear and distinct as it was before, because it's about a quarter of the bandwidth. The other is the Call Manager. And Call Manager will allow us to open up a window where we have a little control here where we can chat with the folks in fact, here's our chat from the guest. So we'll say, "Hi, Tom," back. But it also tells me when Tom turned his microphones on and off, when he turned his camera on and off, when he connected, that he was trying to make contact, that he logged in, and it keeps all those statistics there. It also has other statistics here about the call. This is the video quality of 1280 by 720, about 2000 kbps, 30 frames a second, and a buffer of about 175 milliseconds. On the audio side, 40,000 kilohertz, about 36 kbps, and a buffer of about 2,000 milliseconds. The reason for the buffer is to keep audio and video synced up. So it has to make sure it doesn't run out of one or the other. I can click the bar graph button here, and that will give me a different set of stats that are in more detail that include the video in and audio in that is coming from the guest, and that number 0, of course, would be our first guest, and the video out and the audio out going to guest number 0, again, our first guest. And that's going to include the resolution, the total kilobytes, the kilobytes per second, the maximum kilobytes per second, frames, frames per second, frames lost, keyframes, total packets, packets per second, packets lost per second, packets lost percentage, resent packets, and the buffer in milliseconds. If we don't want to look at those stats, we can go back here to the chat section, and if we pull in our window and turn on chat, we can see that yes, the host did respond. So let's go ahead and pull that back out. Now that we've got, and we'll close this window, now that we've got a host and a guest, how do we make it into a show? Well, to do that, we're going to add another input, and that's going to be, let's do this the quick way. We'll add a title /XAML input, and we'll select a multi-view, and we'll select this blue one here on the left side. And that comes in with the ability for us to add some headlines, some descriptions, almost like titles, that kind of thing. We'll leave that blank for the moment. And what we want to do is populate this with video. So we'll click the gear icon here, the configuration tab, and we'll click multi-view, and then we'll select the left side to camera number 1, that's the host, and the right side to camera number 2, that's the guest. And you see that they overlaid each other, but let's select a template for them to fit in, and you can see that they fit perfectly into this template. Now you can customize these or do your own graphics and then crop your photos, crop your video images as you want to. There are lots of standards that you can use, but this one happens to fit this template very nicely, and it means when we're done that we have a nice output that we can send back to the guest so that the guest can see what it looks like. And let's take the chat room off. What it looks like when the show is going out to the whole wide world. So that's kind of quick and dirty how to add an input, to connect to a call, to manage the call, and to set up the host and a caller. Now with vMix, there are 6 different editions of vMix, all the way from the Pro Edition at the top to the vMix, the free edition, the basic SD edition at the bottom. The top 3, the Pro, the 4K, and the HD, will have this call feature, the vMix call feature. vMix HD will have 1 caller, vMix 4K will have 2 callers, and vMix Pro will have 8 callers. Did I do that right? Yeah, there we go. 8 callers. And so if you've got vMix HD and you want to have 2 callers, you can either upgrade to vMix Pro, or you can go back to pulling in a guest via Skype or via Zoom. If you've got vMix 4K and you want to have 3 callers, you may want to just keep your 4K and then bring in that extra one on Zoom. But if you're having more than just 1 or 2 extra, you may want to upgrade to the next package. The reason I mention that is because, yes, I am a vMix reseller, and I'd be happy to help you with an upgrade. You can shoot me an email, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com, or go to Eastern Shore Broadcasting to the store and make the upgrade there. The other thing is that, well, I lost my train of thought for a second. Isn't that terrible? With the demo, you'd think you'd have it all written down. Oh, I know. If you thought this video was helpful, of course we'd appreciate it if you liked it, or add comments, or subscribe, which we hope you'll do all that. But more important than that, we hope you'll share it with somebody about this really exciting new feature in vMix, which I think really is going to make the whole idea of doing talk shows so much easier. I was talking to somebody yesterday who said, well, you know, can our missionary from Africa get on their cell phone and come in and talk to our church like this? Absolutely. It's a great way to do it. And people are going to be thinking of all sorts of neat ways to do this. If you've thought of something neat for this particular feature, but you don't see it yet, you're welcome to request it in the vMix forum. And that's forums.vmix.com. Go to the feature request section and add your feature there. You may have the next great feature or the next great addition or improvement for the vMix call feature. So I'm Tom Sinclair on behalf of Eastern Shore Broadcasting and Streaming Idiots. Oh yeah, don't forget to tune into our Streaming Idiots show. We're live Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern here in the States. And we have a chat room. Folks can come in and chat with us. We have guests a lot of weeks and talk about live streaming all the time. So we'd be delighted to have you come join us for any one of those shows. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or shoot me an email, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com. Thank you.